Hello and welcome to week 2 of NPT Community Mat class. So today we're going to be working again on our intro to basic level programming with the PIC system, but building on from the foundation that we set last week. So what I mean by that is we're going to be sticking with the similar or the same PIC system categories, but bulking up what's in each category. So really reinforcing what we're trying to achieve in each category of our PIC system and getting a bit more feeling and benefit of each of those as we go through. Okay, so coming over to the reformer. And I've got mine set up ready for the warm up again. So exactly the same as last week, just making sure that your headrest is down, your foot bar is down, and I'm going to set the 2 red springs on. So I've got a bit of stability in the carriage, but there is still the ability to move it, which will help to work us a little bit more into the connection of our legs on the platform. So sitting onto the edge, getting ready to come down into our supine position for our warm-up category. I'm going to lie down, bringing the feet onto the wooden platform and just taking a moment to settle into our supine start position. So feeling where the weight is falling through the soles of the feet, back of the pelvis, back of the rib cage, and the back of the head. Feel how the shoulders feel. And can we feel that connection from the palm of the hand into the shoulder girdle? And from the feet, through the legs into the hips. And just take a moment to be there. I'm going to start our breath practice. So just taking that inhale for a count of 5. Feeling the full inhalation through the rib cage. And as we exhale, feeling that relaxation and recoil as we go into that full exhalation cycle. So breathing in, taking it full into the sides and the back and the front and the abdominals, lift. And as we exhale, feeling that recoil and relaxation as we push the air out of the lungs. Taking that inhale into the sides and the back of the rib cage, noticing the rise of the sternum and the rise of the abdominal wall as we take that full breath. And then using that exhalation to relax. Feel the dropping of the sternum. Feel at the end of the exhale, we're really pushing the air out from that deepening of the abdominal wall. Breath in. Fully expand the ribs. Notice the change in the collarbones, sternum. And as we exhale, we relax. Feel the relaxation that creates in the body. And feel how the end of the exhale creates that tightening and that stability. One more practice. Inhale. Feeling that full expansion. And exhale. Feeling the full release. Taking this into our imprint now. So again, feeling the print or the connection of our start position, but not pushing any more down into the feet. So using that exhalation and continuing on from that recruitment that we felt in the breath, can we tilt the pelvic bowl towards us to imprint the lumbar spine onto the carriage? And we're going to breathe in to roll back out into our neutral zone. So using that exhale, feel the softening of the sternum, deepening of the abdominal wall, and how that encourages the pelvis into that posterior pelvic tilt as we imprint. And the inhale as we rock back into our neutral zone, feeling the widening at the sitting bones at the base of the pelvis. Exhale. Drawing and imprinting that lumbar spine down into the mat. And using the inhale to roll the pelvis back out to our neutral zone. One more practice. Exhale. Imprint. Pubic bone rolls towards the sternum. Inhale. Create distance between the sternum and the pubic bone as you roll back. Let's prepare for our pelvic curl now. So being a little bit more active through the pressure in the soles of the feet and down through the palm of the hand. Let's take an exhale breath to imprint through the lumbar spine, shift the weight forward into the feet, and roll up sequentially through the spine. Feel the energy reaching forward and out through the knees and thighs as you extend the hip, and then using the exhalation to drop the sternum away from the chin as you roll down through the spine back to your neutral zone. Breath in at the bottom. And as we breathe out, we coordinate the imprint, press through the feet, and roll our pelvis and spine back up to our neutral zone, or as far up as we can control that movement pattern. Breath in at the top. And breath out, softening the sternum, feeling that we're rolling through the back of the rib cage, down into the lumbar vertebra, top of the pelvis, bottom of the pelvis to the tailbone. Breath in, prepare. Breath out, imprint. Rolling up, feeling like you're leading with the pubic bone, trying to keep the hip joint open in extension as we push and work strongly through the hamstring and the glute. Breath in. And exhale, soften the chest and roll the spine back down. Control. Mobilize. And come back to your start position. We've got one more practice. Breath in. Exhale, initiate the imprint. Pick it up with the feet, the strength of the legs, as we roll up into our pelvic curl bridge. At the top, feel the importance of the arms pressing in to connect from the arms into the torso trunk. Keep the pressure through the arms as you soften the chest and control the roll back down of your pelvic curl. Great. Once we're back into our neutral zone, we're preparing for chest lift 1. So feeling the connection from the foot into the leg hip, using your exhale breath, nod the chin, soften the sternum, and curl up. Single breath cycle. Let's breathe in and lower the head, neck down. Exhalation, nod the chin, soften the sternum, and curl up. We've got a good visual on your pelvic stability right now. Feel the energy and reach required through the arms from the shoulder torso. And then we're going to lower back down using that exhalation breath. Find the rhythm. Exhale. Sternum softens, encourages that trunk flexion. Reach through the arms. Lower back down and release. Exhale. Nod the chin. Curl up. Reach. Check that we're grounded through the tailbone end of the spine and lower back down with control. One more. We're going to curl up on the exhale. We're going to hold our chest lift. We're transitioning into our hula 2. We're going to reach the arms up to the ceiling. We're going to interlace the fingers and bring them back behind the head. We're already in our chest lift, ready to take our exhale into torso rotation. Breathing in, we're going to draw ourselves back to the center. Using the exhale, rotating the rib cage and drawing back to the center. We're staying up and we're going to continue to pattern that oblique rotation. Feel the importance of the foot into the leg hip to stabilize the pelvis against the rotation of the torso. Directing the armpit to the opposite knee. Draw back to the center. Exhale to rotate. Inhale back to the center. Let's challenge our endurance. Let's go one more on each side. Inhale to the center and exhale. Good work. Draw back to the center. We're going to lower the head down, just releasing the arms and bringing them back down beside us. So from here, we're back into our single leg lift, taking an inhale breath to prepare. As we exhale, we find the control or the stability through that exhalation breath. We pick the right leg up into our tabletop position. Let's use our inhale breath to place the leg back down. We're going to alternate legs. Exhale, feel the closing and narrowing of the ribs, dropping of the sternum, deepening of the abdominal connection, floating the left leg up. Breathing in, we're going to lower that leg straight back down again. Like we discussed last week, really noticing the importance of stability through the open chain and closed chain leg. Feeling a heaviness of the thigh into the hip socket, establishing that good pattern of hip disassociation. Exhale to lift. And inhale to lower back down. Feeling or noticing the importance of the palm of the hand, arm, torso connection as we take that one leg off and lower it back down. Exhale, floating that left leg up. Inhale, lowering back down. On the next one, we're going to lift up into our double leg lift. So using the exhale breath, find the stability, float the right leg, keep exhaling, float the left leg up. Good. We're going to take an inhale breath to hold. And exhale, finding the stability, lower the right leg. Keep exhaling, lowering the left leg down. We're going to breathe in to prepare the body. We're going to repeat again, lifting that left leg first. Exhale, float the left leg. Keep exhaling, float the right leg. Breath in, hold. As we exhale, find the stability, lower the left leg, lower the right leg. Excellent work. From here, we're transitioning into our spine twist. So using that exhalation, find the control in the breath, float the right leg, then the left leg up into your tabletop position. Connect your feet, keep your knees at hip distance. You can either hold onto the carriage sides, or you can grab your hands up against the shoulder pads and have the elbows nice and wide. Can we take a moment to print this position? We've got a new start, we've got the feet connected. We're still trying to feel the spiral of the leg or head of the femur into the hip socket to connect into that neutral zone. Spinal rotation, we're going to breathe in to roll the pelvis over to the right hand side. We're going to use an exhale breath, drop the sternum, return the ribs, waist, pelvis, and legs back to the center. Over to the left, use the inhalation. Focus on that lateral thoracic breath, expand out to the side of the rib cage. Use the recoil of that exhale breath to feel the softening from the sternum to recruit the oblique patterning to return the legs back to the center. Good, let's breathe in, rolling to the right. And exhale, drawing back, ribs, waist, pelvis. Over to the left, inhale. Can we think about keeping the scapula on the carriage as your anchor point? And exhale, rolling back. So really controlling that range of movement at this stage. Inhale, pelvis rolls, spine rotates, legs stay stable from the hip. Exhale, draw back. We've got one more over to the left. Roll onto the pelvic half as you breathe in. And exhale, drawing back, ribs, waist, pelvis. Good. Let's safely lower the legs down one at a time. And from here, let's roll to our side, get off the reformer carriage safely, and getting ready for our leg and footwork category doubles. So I'm going to place that third red spring on. So I've got 3 reds. That's as heavy as I'm going to go today. I'm going to walk around and lift the foot bar up. I'm going to keep my headrest down. So let's go through heels and toes and V and heels wide for our double leg and footwork. Rolling down onto the carriage. We've placed the heels up. So remember that change in angle of hip flexion. Check that your heels are in line with your sitting bones. Your ankles are in that gentle dorsiflexion position, but most importantly, we're feeling that connection from foot to hip. So we're focusing on that gentle external rotation spiral of the head, the femur, to drop us down into that neutral zone through the pelvis. Can we take a moment to feel the connection from the palm of the hand into the shoulder torso? And then using our exhale breath, initiating from the hip, we're pressing both legs out to straight. Using the inhale breath, we're controlling, keeping the carriage active as we return. So can you time your movement today with your breath pattern? Using the entirety of the inhale breath to slide back in, and use the entirety of the exhalation to press away. Don't stop the movement, keep it active. The exhale takes us out, lengthening through the crown of the head. The inhale resists us back in. Exhale, push, straighten the knee, lengthen the spine. Inhale, resist and return, giving some thought to how we're coming back into that hip flexion or squat position. Exhale to press, and inhale to resist back in. We've got one more. Pushing away as we exhale, controlling back in as we inhale. We're changing from heels to toes in parallel. Check the metatarsals are on, the toes are on the foot bar, and the heel is slightly lifted into your plantar flexion. The heel stays still. We exhale to press the legs out to straight. We inhale to slide and resist back in again. Notice the change, notice the feedback in the body. We're now controlling through that ankle alignment and ankle stability. So keeping the heels still as we press out and keeping it still in space as we come back in again. So there is articulation at the ankle. There is stability through the ankle and through the knee and the hip. You'll notice that there is more requirement of the muscles of the lower leg to hold us in this position. Continue your flow. The exhalation takes you all the way out to that straight leg. The inhale controls us all the way back in. Keep grounding through the thigh as we come into that deep hip flexion position. We've got one more, pressing out and resisting the carriage as you come back in. Change to our V. External rotation spiral. So notice the connection or the feedback that you're getting from the heels squeezing together into your adductors. And can we really reinforce that hip external rotation from the head of the femur? Using that exhale breath, we're pressing the legs out to straight. Using the inhale, we're resisting and controlling the carriage back in. Press and squeeze to control. As you're fully extending through the knee, are you still able to maintain that rotation spiral from the thigh bone? Exhale, press. Inhale, resist back in again. Is the external rotation spiral from the leg causing your pelvis to come into a posterior tilt? Or are you able to maintain that neutral zone against the load of your spring? Exhale, press. And resist to return. Practice one more. And resist back in. Good. From here, we're going to come out to wide heels. Going a little bit wider than your hip distance, bringing the heel on slightly lower than the foot bar. Again, reinforcing that external rotation, but still thinking of the connection of your adductors. I like to think about my heels continuing to squeeze in towards one another to find that stability. So using that exhale breath, we're pressing out. Using the inhale, resisting back in again. With the legs moved away from the midline, you've got more ability to move the pelvis under load. So can we really give some thought to the position of the pelvis and the spine as we're pushing out and controlling back in our wide positions? Feeling the length through the spine, crown of the head. Are we still focusing on the connection from the hand into the shoulder torso? Keeping the movement active. We've got one more, pressing out and squeezing back in. From here, we're going to bring the toes back on parallel in hip width, and we're going to come into our raises. So using an exhale breath, let's press and extend the legs out to straight. Really extend the knee, be active through the muscles of the quadriceps. And we are lowering into an active dorsiflexion and active plantar flexion as we move through that ankle range. So again, we're not sinking passively into a stretch. We're moving actively through that ankle range, going down and then lifting up. Are you noticing the weight distribution evenly through your metatarsals? Making sure that all toes are on that foot bar. Pressing down and rising up. Please give some thought to the inner ankles. Are you still squeezing or maintaining that parallel alignment through the inner ankle as you're lowering down, and especially as you're rising up, making sure there's no lateral shift there? Lowering down and lifting up. Let's practice one more. And then we're going to slide actively back in to return the carriage. Great, we're going straight into single leg heels basic. Again, I'm leaving my spring load on to give myself the challenge. Please feel free to change your spring tension as required. Bringing the heels back up to that parallel hip distance, floating the right leg up into your tabletop position, and just giving some thought to that single leg print position from the heel into the hip on the closed chain side, through the open chain side, the deepening of the leg into the hip socket. Feel the importance of the arms, torso for stability, and then using your exhale breath, we're pressing out, using the inhale to resist back in again. We are making sure that our pelvis stays level, that we're not hiking or shortening laterally through one side of the waist. We're pressing out and feeling that load on the one side and resisting it back in again. Exhale to press and inhale to control back in again. We've got one more, pushing out and squeeze to control in. Place the foot down in line with the sitting bone, pick the other leg up, take a moment to print, check that the pelvis is level, and we push under load. Exhale to press. Inhale to control actively back in again. Exhale, pushing from the hamstring, initiating. Feel the quadriceps tightening as the knee fully extends and resisting back in again. Exhale, press. Inhale, resist and control back in. We've got two more on this side. And exhale. And control and resist back in. Okay, good. Rolling over to the side, jumping up to your seated position to change springs. So into our abdominal category now, I'm going to drop down to one red again as I'm adding a few more challenging sequences to this category. So we're going to take a look at arm supine 1 followed by 3 to start off with. So let's grab our hand straps, or free yours, or grab yours once you're down in your supine position, depending on your reformer. So coming down, I'm going to grab the shorter of my 2 loops and just reinforcing that start position again, making a grip, a fist around the handle, and feeling how from that connection of grip through the strong straight arm, we're connecting into the shoulder and torso. So feeling that breadth across your shoulder blades and that heaviness of the head of the humerus, or that spiral corkscrew of the head of the humerus back into the shoulder socket. Floating the legs up into our tabletop position, feet together, knees apart. We're using the exhale breath to press both arms down. We're using the inhale to lift back up again. So really feeling how the exhalation softens the sternum, deepens the connection through the abdominal wall. Feel the strength through the arms reaching towards the foot bar as they press down. Feel the heaviness of the head of the humerus as it reaches back up towards the ceiling. So the push is coming from around the shoulder rather than the wrist. Inhale as we slide back up to our start position. We're going to exhale, press down. As the knuckles are reaching down, can we find more length out through the crown of the head? Inhale, control back up. So as the force is pushing down, can you feel it lengthen out through our posture, crown of head? Inhale to come back up. Let's take this straight into 3. So we've got our parallel press down. We're going to turn the palms to face in. We're coming straight out to the side. From our side position, we're pressing back down to the hip. We turn the palm to face down. We reach back up to the ceiling. So much more complicated movement pattern. Check our connections. Press from the shoulder joint. Turn the arm from the shoulder joint. Open out. Adduct. Turn the palm down. Lift the arm back up to shoulder height. So a lot more to control in arms 3 as we rotate from one to the other. Really focusing on how that rotation of the arm is happening from the head of the humerus. We've got one more. We're going to exhale and press both arms down. Rotate, turn the palms in, reach the arms out to the side. Check that we've still got the stability, the breadth across the collarbones as we press back down from that wide position and come back up. From here, we're going straight into our hundreds breath. So exhale, nod the chin, soften the chest and curl. Really reaching those arms forward into those straps, and then we're lowering straight back down again with control. Exhale, nod the chin, soften the chest, reach with the arms. Inhale, keep reaching out through the arms as you return the neck and the head. Exhale to curl up. Inhale, reach and return. Exhale, press. Feel how the strength of the arms reaching forward assists that torso flexion. And then lower back down. We've got one more. Exhaling to curl up. Inhale to lower back down. Now we're going to take this into a variation where we're curling up and adding our arms 3 movement pattern. So come along with me. We're going to exhale to curl the torso into our hundreds prep. We're turning the palms to face in. The challenge is to maintain torso flexion as we abduct the arms, adduct the arms, and return back to our start position. Exhale, we're curling up. Laterally breathing into the sides and the back of the rib cage and the lungs. Maximum contraction of the abdominal wall required, and come back down. Exhale, curl up. Breath in. Only open the arms as far as you can maintain the chest curl. Press down and lower back. Exhale to curl. Inhale to open. Exhale to press, deepen the chest lift. Inhale, lower down. We've got one more practice. Exhale to curl. Inhale, challenge. Press back down and lower the torso. Resting the legs and relax. Well done. From here, rolling up to our seated position and moving into our leg strap work category. So I'm going to go for one red, one blue. I'm going to ready the long straps now for feet in. So coming back down into our supine position. Pressing the carriage and stepping the feet in safely. New feedback, we've got our feet into the straps. So we're really going to highlight that foot to hip connection now. Small V with the feet, knees open just a little wider than your straps. External rotation spiral, dropping the head of the femur into the hip socket. connection of the arms into trunk. Exhale, pushing from the hamstring. Inhale, pulling back into hip flexion actively. Frogs. Exhale, press. Inhale, pull and squeeze back into that hip flexion. Check. Push from the hamstring. Extend the legs. Inhale, resist, pull back in. We've got 2 more frogs. Exhale, press. And inhale, pull back in. You'll notice I'm pulling into quite a deep hip flexion position. I know that I've got that ability. Don't come all the way into hip flexion if you're unable to maintain the neutral zones through the pelvis and spine. Stop at 90, recheck. Exhale, push away. And inhale, draw actively back in. We're going to press the legs out to straight. We're going to keep them straight. And we're going to start to pattern leg circles. So we're going to lift the legs up to as far as we can get to that 90 degrees hip flexion. From here, we're going to really reinforce that external rotation spiral to have the feet in the V. And we're going to use an exhale breath to press both legs down, controlling the lumbar spine. Breathing in, circling the legs around to get back up on top. Very challenging movement pattern. We're looking for the stability through the pelvis and the spine as we're going into that circumduction motion from the hip joint. Maintaining external spiral. So we're pressing the legs down in your V. As we're moving around in the circular motion, we're making sure that we're maintaining that rotation from the leg at the hip. Exhale, press down. Inhale, circle round. We've got 1 more in this direction, pushing the legs down as far as we can control the spine. Inhale, circling all the way back up and around. Let's reverse the circle. We're going to open and push down as we exhale. The further we're pressing those legs into hip extension, the more the lumbar spine is going to want to extend. You've got to control that. We're looking as the legs are coming into hip flexion, making sure that the lumbar doesn't flex. So looking at that hip disassociation. Let's open and push down as we exhale. Inhale. Feeling the heaviness of the leg into the hip socket as we come up. Exhale as we push around. Inhale, controlling as we pull the legs up into hip flexion. We've got 1 more. Open and press. And drawing the legs back up. Let's hold our high position and going into our openings high. So from here, keeping the stability of the carriage, and we're abducting the legs away from the midline, opening them up as far as we can control. From here, we're adducting those legs, drawing them back towards one another, and connecting the heels at the top. We're going to breathe in, we're opening. Maintaining the rotation from the hip as we abduct as far as we can. We're drawing the legs back in together, maintaining the stability of the carriage. So we spoke about this last week, that's hamstring connection. We're pressing down a little bit through the foot into the strap, finding that connection through the back line of the leg. And then we're controlling out and in through hip abduction, adduction as we close. Last practice, we're breathing in to open. And we're breathing out to draw those legs back together. Good, let's bend those knees back into the frog. We're going to take the feet out, slide the reformer carriage in. We can let those straps come back onto the resting point, the pole, or the shoulder rests. And let's get ready for spinal articulation. We're going to take a look at pelvic curl with extension today. I'm going to go for 2 red springs and lying back down into the supine position. So bringing the heels on parallel and hip width, and just taking a moment to feel that neutral zone. We've patterned this already, so let's Take that exhalation, find the imprint, a little harder with the legs up higher in hip flexion. And then we're going to press through those heels, rolling and articulating up into our pelvic curl. Now the carriage has the ability to move, so really sending the energy out through the kneecap and forward over the toes to feel that extra demand on the hamstrings, hip extensors. And then we're going to roll back down again through that pelvic curl pattern down to our start position. Let's take a plain pelvic curl again. We're going to breathe in at the bottom. We're going to breathe out to imprint. So we're looking at opening up that hip into extension, keeping the hip into extension as we press from the back of the sacrum, reach forward through the knees, press into the arms. Using the exhale breath, drop the sternum, roll through the back of the rib cage, lumbar spine, pelvis and tailbone. So let's add our extension now. We're going to roll up using our exhalation breath. Press into those heels, reach forward through those knees. Using the inhale breath, I'm extending the legs as far as I can control my position, squeezing back into the stopper and rolling the spine back down again. We're aiming to keep the hip in extension as we're pressing the carriage out and in. So let's exhale, imprint, roll up. Use the inhale breath, the carriage pushes back. On the return, keep the hip open, so lifting the sacrum up towards the ceiling, squeezing the sitting bones towards the heels, softening the sternum and rolling back down. Good. Using that exhalation, let's imprint and roll up. Keep the carriage still. Move the carriage actively, press. And squeeze it back in on the inhale. Exhale, drops the chest and rolls the spine back down. One more, breath in. Breath out, imprint, roll up. Pelvic stability, press, control, strength from hamstrings, glutes. Roll back down. And rest. Well done. Okay, let's come up. We're going to revisit our knee stretch in our round back and flat back. We're also going to take a look at our hip flexion 2 category and our elephant. So I'm going to drop my spring down to 1 red, 1 blue. And setting up for round back knee stretch. So checking the foot position, maximizing that range in the big toe joint and through the foot ankle, trying to get the heels right up against those shoulder rests. From here, we've got that new position of the grip of the hand onto the foot bar and feeling just like we had in our arm supine, that grip around, strong straight arm and connection into the shoulders trunk. So we're going to pattern the long C curve, tuck the chin, tuck the pelvis, press through the big toes, activate through your spinal flexion. We're pressing back slowly as we breathe in, exhale to pull forward. We're going to put a bit of pace into it today, but still maintaining all the technique. So we're pressing back and resisting as we come in, keeping the carriage active and the dynamic quick on the return, quick on the return, looking at hip disassociation and that ability to maintain strong torso and spinal control as we're mobilizing the hip joint. Good, last one, pull it home. From here, we're changing the position of the spine. So feel the sitting bones open at the base of the pelvis, feeling the sternum pull forward a little, so we're into our neutral position. From here, press active into the feet, and we're pushing back slowly, pull back in quick, breathing in and out. Good. As the hip is going into extension and flexion, we're making sure that we're looking at that control of the pelvis and lumbar spine and that strength in the arm, torso, trunk. 2 to go. Good. Okay, from here, let's come up for our elephant. So coming to standing up on the carriage, new start position. From here, making sure that we've got the hand, arm, shoulder connection and making sure that the pelvis is directly over those heels. So I can't quite reach back to the shoulder rest, so I'm going to bring my feet a little bit further forward to really ensure that the weight placement of my pelvis is right over my heels. Now, from the connection that we can feel through the arm, from the foot bar into the arm torso, I'm going to feel like I'm pulling my pelvis into that imprint position and pulling my lumbar spine into that imprint position. From here, we've got the same dynamic. We're going to push back slowly and pull in quickly. Now we're going to breathe in to press back. We're going to breathe out to pull back in again. Can we really pattern that imprint as we're pulling the legs back into that hip flexion position? So we're pushing back through a strong, straight leg. We're feeling the connection from foot into hip, into lumbar spine. Breathing in, we press. Breathing out, we pull back in. 2 to go. Last one. And resting down. Good. Let's come into our lunge. I'm going to take that blue spring off. Coming down onto the side of the reformer, checking that the big toe is tucked under, and the heel is right up against that shoulder pad. Coming up into our start position and focusing on the alignment through the pelvis and spine. So really focusing on that vertical lift. From here, the front knee stays still, the back leg presses away. Lunge. Keep the hip in extension, straighten the front leg, hamstring. Pull the carriage back in, feel the return and the lift up through your posture, pelvis and spine. Front knee stays still, back knee presses away. Straightening the front leg, hamstring. And return the carriage actively, pulling the spine up towards the ceiling. And let's do the same on the other side. Lunge, basic. Tucking the toe under. Positioning the front foot right forward or in line with your foot bar. Take a moment to feel that vertical upright posture, especially the position of the pelvis. Front knee stays still, back knee presses away. Hip extension, coming into a bit of lumbar extension there. We're going to press and extend that front leg out into hamstring stretch as far as you can, and drawing back in again, actively pulling the spine up. Let's go again. Press back. Extending the front leg out. Pulling the carriage home, feeling ASIS pull towards the hip bar, pull towards the foot bar, pubic bone pulling up towards the sternum. Okay, good. So from here, let's come into our seated arm series. So what I'm going to demonstrate today is this series on our long box. So for me, it's all about spinal position. The challenge of having the legs out straight is an additional challenge. So I like to get all the technique right first on the box with an easier position to be able to maintain upright seated posture. So we're going to come and grab our hand straps and coming into our arms one or our lat pulls. Firstly, new start position. We're printing our seated position for the first time. What we need to really focus on is that the feet are down, we're sitting back on the box as far as we can go. And we're just giving some thought to where our body is positioned in this posture. So checking that the weight of the head is right over the ribs, is right over the pelvis, which seems a bit weird, but if you give it some thought, and especially under load, you'll see how easy it is to pull away from that neutral zone. So grabbing hold, I'm going to grab beyond the strap and up onto the rope. I'm going to start in an active position. So my arms are about mid-thigh, and I'm just going to focus a moment on my seated posture. I'm going to take some breathing. So I'm feeling the expansion out through the sides and the back of the rib cage and lungs as I breathe in. And as I breathe out, I'm just going to feel that softening of the sternum. And for me, that's important. People tend to sit up and lift the sternum up. So can we feel the falling of the sternum and how that connects into our torso trunk? Now, just like we've already patterned, we've got that fist around the straps. We've got our long, straight arms. We're feeling that corkscrew spiral of the head of the humerus into the shoulder socket. And we're going to move into our lat press. Breathing out, we're pressing both arms back as far as we can maintain spinal control. And then breathing in, return actively back to the start position. Exhale, press. And inhale, resist back. Good. So as you're pressing the arms back, can you feel like you're reaching the knuckles down and the head up to the ceiling? Inhale, control the return. So as I'm pressing back into the load, it's not just back and forward, it's down and up. We're controlling back. As we exhale, we're pressing just into the load as far as we can control and maintain that vertical lift up through our seated posture. Inhale forward. Exhale, press and squeeze both arms back. And inhale. What we need to watch here is that we're not leaning back with the load. As you're pulling the arms back, how much further forward can you sit through your pelvis towards your pubic bone? Can you feel the difference in challenge in your spinal extensors? Press and control forward. Good. Let's come into our bicep curl. So for this one, I'm going to grab the shorter of my two straps. I'm going to make that fist around the short strap, and I'm going to pull my arms up to 90 degrees flexion at the shoulder and elbow. So I'm here so that I can already feel active in my start position. I can really take a moment to feel where my head, ribs, and pelvis is, where the weight is distributed through that pelvis. Is it towards the pubic bone or is it towards the tailbone? I'm active, I'm working hard in my start position, keeping the humerus nice and still. We open or extend the elbow and we flex at the elbow. So we're only moving through that joint range as far as we can control our seated posture and our shoulders. We're going to breathe in to open the elbow. We're going to breathe out to pull back and flex the elbow. As the forearm is pulling towards your shoulder, can you reach your elbows forward away from you? We're going to exhale, flex at the elbow, but reach it forward away from your shoulder joint. We've got two more. And last one. Good. From here, we're coming into our rhomboid opening. So sliding the strap down onto the elbow. And again, we're lifting the elbows up to that shoulder flex position as far as we can control through our shoulder girdle. So the elbows, it's very hard to get the elbows right up in line. Take them a little bit lower to make sure that you're maintaining that control through your lower traps. So rhomboids. We're opening the elbows out to the side. We're feeling that gentle hug of the scapula towards the spine at the back of the rib cage, and we're drawing back in line with the shoulder. So from here, I'm directing my elbows out to the side of the studio. I'm directing my spine up and my shoulder blades gently together, and I'm drawing back in again. So we're going to open the elbows on the exhalation. Can we really focus on how the sternum softens down as we pull into that load? Breathing in to come back in. Breathing out, sternum softens, elbows open, rhomboids retract the scapulas gently. Inhale, pull back. We've got two more. Exhale to open. Inhale to draw back in line with the shoulder. And last practice. And pull back in. Okay, good. From here, I'm going to settle the straps back down onto the hooks. And let's come into our back extension category and into our basic back. So I'm going to pop that foot bar up. I've still got my one red spring on and patterning or moving down into our prone start position. Chest is over the edge. Palm of the hand is wide on the foot bar. We've got the connection from the palm of the hand spiraling from the head of the humerus into that slight external rotation position and patterning upper thoracic extension. So can we feel that the sternum is pulling towards the foot bar? Can we feel that the toes are reaching back away from the hips? Just taking a breath here, breathing in and exhale, just gently feeling the difference in feedback of breathing in prone to breathing in supine. So inhale, ribcage expands, exhale, recoil, feel the lift of the abdominal wall away from the box. Let's come into our back extension. We are patterning that sternum initiating as we press the carriage away, and we're lengthening the chest forward as we lay the torso down. We're going to breathe in. Thoracic initiates extension, lengthening the sternum forward and down as we return to our start position. Feel the connection of the palm of the hand into the arm, shoulder, into those extensors. And then elbows bend, but pull the sternum forward and lengthen the spine on the return. Breathing in. Sternum pulls forward. How far can you get the sternum away from the pubic bone? And then reach that sternum forward and lay back onto the box. We've got one more. Breathing in. Breathing out. Lengthen and lower down. Okay, we should be all fired up through those extensors. So let's turn around and add on this category. Let's go into our pulling straps one. So that foot bar is coming down. We're flipping our position, coming to the other end of the box. Similar setup in the chest is over the edge, and we're going to grab hold of the hand straps, but right onto the rope part beyond the strap. So from here, making that connection of the fist around the strap into the arm shoulder. Now we're going to curl the head, neck, and shoulders into a flexion position to start. And then from here, leading with the sternum, we're pulling both arms back. So we're using that inhale breath. The head, the sternum pulls forward, the arms reach behind us. Using the exhale breath, feel the drop of the sternum and drop the head. Inhale, head, sternum. Open the collarbones, reaching the arms up and back and lower back down. Our arm is reaching or aiming for above the height of the hip. So we're breathing in, drive through the arms, feel the shoulder connection, challenging the ability to extend the thoracic spine, and exhale to control back down. Breathing in, sternum rolls forward, arms reach up and back. Exhale, actively flex forward over the box. Breathing in, pull. Breathing out, lower back down. We've got one more. Pull through the chest and arms and lower back down to rest. Good. Okay, so from here, let's pop the straps back on. We're going to take the box off and we're moving into our lateral flexion category into our side reach. So popping that foot bar back up. And we're going to come and sit into our little Z sit, internal external rotation through the hip, placing the hand onto the foot bar just forward of the shoulder and taking a moment to feel that palm of hand into shoulder connection. We're going to reach, we're going to press the carriage away and reach into our lateral tilt. From here, we start to pattern our lateral flexion from the head neck into the rib cage spine. Coming back into our tilt and returning the carriage back in. Good. We're going to breathe into tilt. Feel the connection from arm into shoulder. Keep the carriage still and find the lateral flexion movement through your spinal joints. Good. Return back and pulling in. We've got one more. Breathing in. Ensuring that is lateral flexion and not rotation. Keeping the shoulders square to the front. Keeping the eyes square to the front. Come back and return home. Onto the other side. So turning around into our Z sit and settling back as far as we can into that hip that's comfortable. Connecting the palm of the hand onto the foot bar, and from that palm of the hand into the connection of the arm into shoulder blade. From here, we're pressing out on the inhale, and on the exhale, we're patterning lateral flexion from the head neck. We're going to return from ribs to head, and we're pulling the carriage home. Let's push out, breathing in, breathing out, ear to shoulder. Feel the top side rib cage open, feel the stretch in the intercostals. Return back to our tilt and return the carriage home. Last one, palm of the hand presses, connects into the shoulder, takes us out. The spine moves into lateral flexion sequentially from the head. We're going to return back and we're coming in. Okay, good. Let's come into our cool down, coming up to standing for our roll down again. So bringing ourselves upright and just taking a moment to feel our standing posture. From that grounding through the soles of the feet, up through that active leg that we found on the reformer leg and footwork, up through that active position through the pelvis and spine, arms into shoulders, neck and head. Using an inhale breath to prepare. The exhale breath nods the chin, softens the sternum, and rolls us down through our spinal joints, flexes at our hips, and takes us down towards the floor. Breathing in at the bottom, breathing out. Starts with an imprint. Feels the sitting bones pull down towards the heels, the pubic bone roll up towards the sternum. We roll through the spine, ribs, shoulders, neck, and head. Breathe in. Feel the length through your spine and posture. Maintain the height as you nod the chin, soften the sternum, and start to flex actively forward. Flexing at the hip as you come down towards the toes. Breath in. Breath out, we come up. Sitting bones drop to the heels. Pubic bone pulls up towards the sternum. Roll back up. Feel length, one more. Exhale, timing the roll down with our breath, using the whole exhale to move all the way down towards our toes, using the inhale at the bottom, and using the full exhale to bring us back to our upright. Excellent work. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week.